Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna go over some more Terraform and some more of the core things that we'll need to know, some core concepts, including things such as count for each provisioners, local values, dynamic blocks, and splat expressions. So first of all, count and Terraform count and as well as for each let you create multiple instances of a resource, but they're a little different. So I'll first go over count. It's really useful when you just want to repeat something a number of times. So here, for example, we're launching 3 EC2 instances, each with a name like, as you can see, we'll do web and then the count index. So it'll be web 1, web 2, web 3. Or actually, it'll start from web 0, right? So web 0, 1, and 2. And whereas for each is better when you want to loop over specific values objects like a list of names or a map. So for each of ABC, so each instance is uniquely mapped to values A, B, and C. Next we'll go on to provisioners. Provisioners let you run scripts after a resource is created. So what that means is, well, first of all, there's two main types. So local exec runs on the machine where Terraform is executed, and then remote exec or execute runs on the created resource like an EC2 instance, right? So as an example here, resource, we want to run this, so our provisioner we want to do local, so this will pretty much run from our local machine rather than from like a resource. And it was advised to use provisioners sparingly because Terraform recommends managing configurations through other tools like Ansible or Cloud Init. But we haven't learned Ansible yet, but yeah, so they don't recommend using this as much. Next, we can go over local values. So this is like variables. We've kind of covered this already, but pretty much just makes your code more readable and reusable, so you don't need to keep repeating things. So we localize some values, region equals this, instance type equals that, and then when we want to make a new resource or just constantly use that same thing, we just do local dot and then the name of the variable, and then it will match the value. This is some new dynamic blocks. These are great when you want to generate nested configuration blocks dynamically. So here the ingress block is created based on the contents of a variable. So for each variable of rules, content, so as you can see, it will take everything from the variable rules. And lastly, splat expressions. They're pretty much a quick way to grab values from a list of resources. So for example here, value equals aws.web, and it'll grab all.id, and this returns all the instances IDs created by your AWS instance web. So that kind of covers what each of them do, but maybe you don't know what it's used for. So for example, count here is just useful when you want to create multiple instances of the same resource, which is ideal for repeatable infrastructure like spinning up 3 identical EC2 instances or like 5 S3 buckets. And whereas for each is used when you need to create multiple resources based on a unique keys or values, and it's more useful when you need to assign like different names or tags or attributes to each instance. So it's more flexible than count for like complex or non-indexed data. And provisioners is for when you need to run commands or scripts after a resource is created. So it's good for like bootstrapping, testing, or temporary setups steps, because that way, like, you know, if you want to make changes, you can always test on your local machine, right? And local values, once again, it's useful for defining reusable values or logic in one place, and so it makes like complex configurations easier to read, update, and maintain. Dynamic blocks are used when a resource, such as a security group here, requires repeating nested blocks that depend on a list or a map, and so it pretty much just helps avoid code duplication. For example, when dynamically create multiple ingress rules for a security group. For example, creating multiple ingress rules for a security group from a variable. And then lastly, slash expressions to extract specific values from a list of resources, which is useful for when you're using count and for each, and you want all the resulting IDs or names, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys learned something today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.